Hey everybody, what's going on? This is Brian with Games Under Pressure, and today we're going to be taking a look at Ark Survival Evolved. Ark is my most played game, I would say, of 2015. I've got about 700 hours in the game since it came out in June of this year. However, we're not taking a look at the PC version today. We're taking a look at the Xbox One version of this game. The game launches tomorrow on the Xbox. It's part of the Xbox game preview program, I think is the official name for it. I just call it the preview program. And what that is a Steam Early Access-like program. So the games that launch in the preview program are not completed yet. In the case of Ark, this game is not scheduled to be launched until mid-2016. I believe they're targeting a June 2016 release date for this. So the game is very far from being done. It's 6 months from being done. As a matter of fact, the developer, Studio Wildcard, is still adding things on a very, very regular basis. So almost every single week on the PC version, you're seeing new dinosaurs, you're seeing new tools, new structures. And I believe that's going to be the same with the Xbox One version of the game. Now, this is a pretty faithful port of the Xbox One version of this game. You get most of the graphical fidelity of the PC version. You get the same level of functionality. So you have all the engrams, you have all the items, you have all the tools, you have all the dinosaurs. There's nothing that has been left out of this version of the game, which is great. You also get a lot of options. Now, whenever a game transfers over from the PC, of course you lose options. Well, I'm happy to say that that's not necessarily the case here. So if you go into the options menu, you have things like volume control, you have things like gamma correction, camera shake, which is nice, UI scale. You also have, and this is my favorite, the ability to turn off motion blur. If you've ever seen a trailer of this game, or even seen some recent YouTube videos of the Xbox One version of this game, motion blur is everywhere. And as a gamer who gets motion sick pretty easily, motion blur is sort of my nightmare. And whenever I saw the trailers for the Xbox One version of the game, I got really worried because I thought, I bet they're not going to let you turn that off. Thankfully, they do, so you can toggle motion blur. You also have pretty basic settings like look left-right sensitivity, look up-down sensitivity, and then you have all of these options. So you can do things like remove chat bubbles, so that if you get close to somebody you're chatting with, you're typing the text in, the chat bubble will or will not appear above those people's heads. You can toggle first-person writing, so if you want to write a raptor in first person, you can do that. You can also change things like Fahrenheit, between Fahrenheit and Celsius. You can hide the chat box so that it's not taking up precious screen real estate when nobody's talking. You can change the torpidity effect and invert the y-axis. Oh, and this is a nice one too. You can hide the server info. So if you're a streamer, if you're a Let's Player, and you want to show off this game, but you don't necessarily want people to know what server your base is on or where your base is located, because if they know what server it's on, they can just watch and see what location you're in and go there and grief you or troll you or whatever the case is. So you don't want to broadcast that. You can hide the server info, which is nice. The compromise, and this is the worst part of the game for me. The compromise here is the control scheme. So as you can see, they do their best, but there's a little control panel at the bottom. So you can attach things to different buttons. So if you want to hit left on the D-pad, you can bring up your little pickaxe here. If you want to hit right, you can eat some meat. You also have the option of selecting the second half of your control panel with left bumper. So you can hit that, hold that, and then press X, Y, and use those items accordingly, which is a nice little touch. However, when you go into the inventory screen here, things take a little bit of a turn for the worse. In the PC version of the game, if you are using an Xbox One controller, like I did because I sit a little bit farther away and I have my PC connected to my TV, I was using the Xbox One controller, and what the control scheme basically was the left analog stick controlled like a mouse. So you could move the little icon around and control it that way. It's not the most convenient thing. However, you get used to it pretty quickly. And towards the end, when I gave up on the PC version of the game, the it was almost second nature. It worked really, really well. Again, not as convenient as a keyboard and mouse, but it was pretty darn good. With this, they make you actually manually go through all of this. So, for example, to get down to your quick item slot menu down here, you need to hit one button, and you have to go 2, 3, 4, 5 button clicks just to get down here. If you want to replace something down here, like I want my wooden club, you have to click it and then drag it down here and select the item slot that you want. Now, if you want to, if you level up and you want to spend an engram point, that gets even worse because you have to press B to bring up the inventory, and then you have to go all the way over here, go down here, select. It's really cumbersome and really inconvenient. So I'm not super thrilled with it. I would have actually preferred the control scheme, the default control scheme for the PC, but whatever. They did a reasonably good job making the transition. I just think the other one they were using was a little bit more convenient. So that brings me to performance. The performance of this game is really, really good, and it's almost shockingly good. The PC version of this game was not super optimized, which is a shame. I'm running a number of Titan X graphics cards in my system, and it was never, it never really ran too well. I was never getting 60 frames a second in 4K. As a matter of fact, at times, my 12 gigabyte graphics card would actually struggle at 1080p at ultra settings. So, not too optimized. This, however, looks really well optimized, and shockingly so. The draw distances are pretty good, so you can see you get some nice detail out on the ocean there. If you go, I'll go up here and give you an aerial view of the island. It looks pretty good. It looks pretty good. You lose some detail, of course. So a good example is, see that little cluster of trees right in front of me? If I go over there, you'll see a bunch of rocks pop into existence. So the closer, you can actually see the Stegosaurus climbing on the invisible rocks right now. But if you go over there, you'll see the sort of the mesh start to build, and you can see those things get drawn in. Again, not too bad. It's about media. This looks like medium specs on the PC version, maybe a little bit higher than that, which is fairly good for the low power hardware of the Xbox One. Same with the PS4. I'm not playing favorites here. The consoles are pretty underpowered compared to a high-end PC. But it's really good. I encountered very few frame rate dips. The frame rate seems to hover in the area of 35 to 45 from what I've heard, which is great. A few dips here and there. The only problems that I'm having are basically pauses in the game. Just like on the PC version, the game pauses for a second, and it's a little discombobulating at first. There are also some lag spikes, and anybody who's played the PC version of this game is well aware of, you can see that little pause there. You are well aware of the lag spikes. Whenever the server gets hit a little harder, whenever there are even a moderate amount of people on the server playing, what'll happen is the game will basically go unresponsive. So fish will swim into the air along the path that they were on. Dinosaurs will continue walking right into cliff faces. It's sort of a nightmare. You can't collect any items when that's happening. Unfortunately, that problem has come over from the PC version, which is something that I'm not really happy about. The funny thing is, if you press pause, you can see how many people are connected to the server and what your server ping is. So now there are 17 people on the server, which is quite a bit. But when I first started playing this game, because it wasn't out, I was the only person on the server, and I was getting a server ping of roughly 19 to 20. Now that 17 people are connected, that has skyrocketed to 33, 34, 35, and I've noticed quite a bit of lag spikes the more people join. So I hope when the server is at capacity and the server is getting pounded by 70 people, that we won't experience anything worse than this, but it is something to keep an eye out for. But otherwise, yeah, it's a super, super solid port of this game, and I'm a little bit surprised. I was expecting the worst just because of my experience on the PC version of the game, but it's very, very, very good. I'll show you what I've been doing here, and if I survive this fall, I probably won't, and that's fine. That allows me to show you another little quirk here. So whenever you die, and you'll die a lot in this game, but whenever you die, for whatever reason, the setting defaults to create new survivor, which is a very dangerous option. Instead of defaulting to like respawn random location or automatically targeting the closest bed, it'll automatically default to create new survivor. And if you do that, your current character will get wiped off the server. So if you spent a few hundred hours doing this game, playing this game, and making everything that you want and building your little dude, that could be a really disastrous thing. So that's one little quirk. But yeah, I mean, overall, like, look at this. It is Ark. This game is Ark. You start out with next to nothing. If you don't know anything about Ark, you start out with next to nothing. You start out almost naked. And like other survival games, you have to go around, collect resources, and turn those resources into tools, which in turn allows you to build more, gather more resources, different kinds of resources, and create more structures. The eventual goal, there's no real end game in this game. It's not like you can beat this game. They are adding a story mode, like almost like a single player campaign mode a little bit later on. That's not in this game yet. But the end game is basically server dominance, which is a cool little thing. And you know what? I'm going to aggro this Brano to get him away from, I don't care if I die again, just to get him away from my house. Yeah, I think he's stuck, actually. All right, I'm going to let him kill me because I don't want to have my house get wrecked here. And this will give me a good opportunity because there is a cooldown, so that's the same. I'll show you maybe like the snow biome. I'll show you the snow biome. Yep, that's North 3. Okay. Well, that was not good. That was the quickest I've ever died in this game. That was sort of awful. And that's one of the things I've noticed too. For whatever reason, this happened actually in the easy versions of the game, or the easy areas of the game. So like South Zone 3, you would respawn and all of a sudden, very, very quickly, you would just get swamped by compies and die. So that is a little bit of a weird quirk. Don't know what's going on with that. But here's the snow biome. You can see here's the T-Rex. He could probably one-shot me with my low level. Nope, that's not. A lot of raptors here. So there are some birds, and of course I can't really survive out here too long because this is one of the. You can see it's delineated with easy, hard, medium. So it's hard to start out there. I wouldn't recommend that. We'll start here in the east. See what this looks like. Loading times are pretty good. On the PC version of this game, I didn't really get any loading times when you're respawning into a new area, so the loading times there are a little bit new. But yeah, so here's a little bit of like a swampy area. And see the little pauses there, which is not great, but you know what? They're doing a lot in this game. I'm sure it'll get better and better and better. So I'm not too worried about those right now. And I believe, is that a Titan Boa? I think that might be a Titan Boa. Which, oh no, that's a Sarco. So these things are sort of nasty, especially in the water. They'll probably kill me. But it's a cool little swampy area. This is the swamp biome. You can find some frogs in here, which is neat. As a matter of fact, I might have just seen one. Yeah, here, check this guy out. It's an albino. That's a pretty cool looking little dude there. Yeah, and the frame rate is tanking a little bit. Oh, there are the Titan Boas as well. So yeah, you gotta be careful where you spawn. As you can tell, there are a lot of creatures on this island that wish for nothing more than your demise. So be on the lookout for that. I'm gonna respawn here in the west. There's a neat little rock island over here. When I was playing on PC, there was a group called the Scorpy Riders. I think they started out just riding scorpions, and then they gave up on that. But they were the Scorpy Riders, and they were on this little island over here. Not that one. It's a great game. It's going to retail for $35. I believe that price is going to go up after the game leaves the preview program. If you buy now, you get a mechanical T-Rex skin, and it looks like it's from the upcoming tech tier. It's got a lot of the cool blue light on it, and it looks like a bionic T-Rex, like a robotic T-Rex. It's pretty badass. So overall, yeah, I would definitely recommend this game. I'm having a blast with it. It's just as good as the PC version. I would almost say it's the definitive version of this game, just because the hackers aren't around, but I think the PC version has it beat just in terms of customization and graphical quality. This is great, but it's not quite as good as what I was seeing on the PC version of the game. But it's super comparable, which is great to see. So don't hesitate, go out, buy it. It's gonna give you a lot of hours of enjoyment. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you would, I would ask that you subscribe. That's going to help me keep bringing you videos like this in the future, keep bringing you these little peeks at unreleased games. So please do that. Hit that like button, and I want to know if you are playing Ark in the comments below. Have you played the game on PC? Have you bought it on Xbox? I want to know. Let me know your thoughts. What are you thinking of it? Are you going to stick with it? And also hit me up in the comments below. Maybe if you want to join my tribe, I'll give you all the server info and things like that. Always looking for new members. So the goal is server dominance. So if you're curious about that, you want to see just how powerful a tribe can get, my tribe is going to probably be the most powerful on the server. So don't hesitate to join. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you next time.